Hello and welcome. Thank you for setting aside time to join us today. We're grateful to have the opportunity to share this presentation. For those of you who may not know us, my name is Bridget Garretts and my clinical partner is Olof and Drita. We are Doctor of Nursing practice students from the University of Minnesota. We've been working with Melissa Muse, the Director of Health Services at the Pillars of Shorewood Landing, for the past several months to complete our final clinical experience for our program specialty of integrative health and healing. Our presentation today is an overview of our methods and findings as we explore the readiness of the organization for implementation of an integrative approach to resident care. With this brief introduction, I will now turn it over to my partner Olof, who will review for you the agenda for our presentation.
Thank you, Bridget. This slide is an overview of our time together today. We will be presenting for roughly 20 minutes with a time for Q&A at the end. We will start with a brief overview of our topic. Then we will describe the methods we use to perform a comprehensive needs assessment that covered mostly our clinical side, but also other Pillars locations. We will summarize our findings and include relevant recommendations. We have a lot of good stuff to present, but we'll be focusing on the main points. There will be page numbers in the bottom right corner of some of the slides for you to follow along with the final report that was emailed to you earlier. Now, Bridget will give a short background.
Setting a background for our work, we begin with the information on the population being served. As the population of older adults in the United States continues to grow and become more diverse, providing high-quality housing options for all seniors is becoming increasingly important. Did you hear that the 2020 census data released in the past few weeks demonstrated that the population of individuals greater than 80 years old living in the United States is larger than the population of individuals under the age of 2? It is projected that by the year 2040, 14.4 million Americans will be over the age of 85. This, coupled with the largest decline in population growth since the Great Depression, is important for us to recognize as we explore ways to promote and enhance health and well-being in our aging population. Since mid-January, we have been working with the leadership at the Pillars of Shorewood Landing to complete a needs assessment and provide information, education, and recommendations surrounding integrative nursing as a framework for care in this organization. Taking a step back, for those who have not heard our previous presentations, integrative nursing is a theoretical approach to nursing care that encompasses both the current biomedical practices and complementary and integrative approaches to care. Integrative nursing recognizes the impact of the environment on an individual's health, harnesses the power of relationship and partnership in healthcare, and promotes the use of interventions ranging from least invasive and restrictive to most as needed and desired by the individual being cared for. The next sections of this presentation will describe our methods for data collection, findings, and highlight the main recommendations for the organization. Sit back, absorb the information, and get excited about the possibilities that can exist for your organization if you choose to move forward and embrace an integrative approach to care throughout the Pillars of Shorewood Landing. In order to understand more about the Pillars of Shorewood Landing, we conducted a thorough needs assessment. The framework for our work was Otto Scharmer's Theory U. In Theory U, the individual is encouraged to spend time deeply listening and engage in the community. With true immersion, listening with an open mind and an open heart, and working in connection with all members of the organization, one is able to gain a deeper understanding of what is needed to move systems change forward successfully in the organization. Throughout the course of several months, we spent time in casual conversation with staff members and residents, conducted interviews with organizational leaders at the Pillars, Oppidan, and other entities connected to the organization, and provided opportunities for staff and residents to experience a variety of integrative modalities for themselves. We also conducted policy review and worked alongside many direct care staff, forming connections and offering opportunities to see integrative modalities in action with patient care. This allowed us to deepen our understanding of the work environment and organizational culture as well. An added bonus of our clinical team was that we were able to expand our reach past the Shorewood Landing site and gain insight about other Pillars communities in the metro area through on-site tours and discussions with staff, as well as conversations with Alyssa, the integrative health coaching student who is also completing her practicum experience within the organization. Next slide. Thank you. The SCOT analysis is a summary of the findings of our needs assessment. SCOT stands for strengths, challenges, opportunities, and threats. The next two slides contain information from our SCOT analysis. We highlight a few of these points. They are described in greater detail in the report you received via email before our presentation. The strengths of this organization are plentiful. The main strengths that are important for our recommendations are highlighted here. Further details can be found on pages 8 to 10 of the report. The first strength is related to resident care. Prior to our arrival, there was an emphasis on whole person care from Melissa and the nursing staff. This focus promotes awareness of the individual as a whole person, made up of many parts working together. They're not purely the being you see in this moment, but their history and experiences play a large role in their life and well-being. A second strength is the ability to tailor education to the needs of the staff. Thanks to the small size of the organization, it is possible to create site-specific education that will directly impact resident care. The next two strengths focus on the organization as a whole. The leadership at the Pillars of Shorewood Landing and Oppidan are very invested in the success of their organization and the provision of high-quality care. This support is demonstrated in the positive workplace environment, the open and effective communication between direct care staff and leaders, and the willingness to take on this endeavor to explore an integrative approach to care. Challenges observed within the organization include challenges related to falls, agitation, and end-of-life care for the residents. Falls are the #1 priority in the organization at this time. And although there has been a huge decrease in incidents, thanks to the work of the whole team at the Pillars of Shorewood Landing, there are additional proactive strategies that can be implemented to potentially decrease this risk further. Although the ability to tailor education to the specific education needs exists, there is very minimal knowledge of integrative health or integrative approaches to care throughout the organization. Throughout our time, we were able to lay a foundation for this approach to care, which was well accepted. A challenge that is difficult to overcome in senior care is the amount of turnover in both staff and residents. And finally, the many different management and leadership entities that exist in the Pillars organization is a challenge. So it will be important to have support of leadership from the various organizations in order to move this initiative forward successfully. As the challenges and threats are almost the same, this slide will focus on the opportunities that exist within the organization. The greatest opportunity with the potential for the quickest organizational impact is the opportunity to introduce integrative modalities into resident care through training of staff and potential hiring of skilled integrative professionals. Another opportunity for the organization is the ability to customize training for all staff to meet the needs of the employees within this organization. There is an opportunity to explore partnership with partner organizations to create these educational opportunities as well. Embracing the power of joy in work and a positive work environment, a large opportunity exists to invest in and develop a well-being initiative throughout the organization. Supporting the employees through enhanced well-being can decrease turnover rates and improve quality of care. Finally, the opportunity to set the organization apart in the senior living market exists. Full implementation and sustaining efforts to promote an integrative approach are not being done by any local competitors and only a few within the Twin Cities metro area. A full understanding of the practices of competitors can be found in the report beginning on page 16.
Okay, thank you, Bridget. 4 main themes emerge from our findings that you can see on the slide: residents' care, staff support, staff education, and organizational support. We will now go over the main findings for each theme and match main recommendations. The challenges related to resident care that we found are mostly 3 things: falls, inconsistency in application of the foundational practices in Dimensions memory care model, resulting in increased anxiety and agitation among the memory care residents. And third, policies to practice. As part of a 2 larger organization, it is challenging to know what policies are being used in practice throughout the organization. There are policies that apply to nursing care that are active through both Ebenezer and Fairview. Recommendations related to residence care include few things. Not all of them match the challenges mentioned, but instead they would improve the provided care overall. First is the definition of whole person care. In cooperation with our preceptor, Melissa, and Dr. Mary Jo Kreitzer, our advisor, a solid and easy to understand definition of whole person care was created for the organization. This definition is being painted on a canvas and will be visible for all to view within the common care space of the organization, reminding the staff of this important element in direct care. The definition can be found on page 19 of our report. Secondly, an integrative nursing assessment is recommended to gather information from a body, mind, spirit perspective. The third recommendation is to include integrative modalities in routine care to decrease use of PRN medication, to improve balance and promote relaxation and sleep for the residents. The fourth recommendation to consider moving forward is related to fall prevention. The organization has worked hard as a unit to decrease their falls and have made a great progress. To support their progress, we are recommending to add a one-page brochure on falls, their impact on health of older adults, and prevention strategies included in the move-in material provided to residents and their families, such as removal of rugs and promotion of use of non-slip footwear. The fifth recommendation is related to the residents' interest and desire for more cognitive stimulating activities within the community. We included some examples in our report. And finally, we do recommend that family of residents, especially the powers of attorney, will be able to log into the organization website for information about their loved ones' health and progress. This is especially important during COVID and with distant family members. The challenges related to staff education are related to integrative care, general senior care, and end-of-life care. There is not an education base for integrative care within the system at this time. Fairview offers some modules related to integrative nursing and integrative modalities, yet the organization does not seem to have access to that education. In order to integrate this approach into all levels of care, it is important to have a solid educational platform combined with experienced staff to model behaviors and implement interventions. Education focused on dementia and memory care individuals is noted to be plentiful in the organization, but a focus on other aspects of healthy living and conditions common to older adults is not present in the annual education, which has the potential to impact the quality of the care that is being provided, and not all residents suffer from dementia. Lack of knowledge and experience with end-of-life care for the RAs is a challenge for this site due to the relatively young age of these caregivers. The recommendation related to staff education matches the challenges mentioned. Firstly, with the goal of building a foundation of integrative knowledge and developing the capacity to maintain this approach to care, a focus on staff education should be a priority. Education material related to integrative care as well as self-care and death and dying from a whole person, whole life perspective is important for all employees. Training staff in palliative techniques and approaching conversation about death and dying in an open, honest manner has the potential to increase the level of comfort that direct staff feels when caring for residents nearing the end of life. The challenges or weaknesses related to diversity among staff, population changes, and decreased hours for the chaplain. That's related to staff support. There is a cultural and racial diversity between the leadership and direct staff or direct care staff that requires education to ensure cultural support to all staff. Secondly, the frequent changing resident population due to injury, transition, or death can be a challenge for the staff. The chaplain that was a part of the organization was let go and has been replaced by a contact chaplain that can provide supportive care to the staff for only 3 hours a week. With the young staff and the frequent rate of death due to natural life process, there is a need for increased social and emotional support to prevent potential moral distress in the direct care staff. Based on that, it is recommended to build a positive work environment. And that includes to enhance the stand-up meetings, that each meeting starts with a moment of grounding, a breathing exercise, a gratitude exercise, or meditation, and to end the stand-up meeting with a shift report between the RIs to help them be more successful in their cares and enhance the continuity of care. Secondly, it is recommended that a chaplain is hired for more hours to support spiritual and emotional well-being of staff due to the frequent residents' death. Another recommendation to improve staff well-being and support is to include a body system among the care staff. And finally, although it's nice to have all staff working in the same location, the joint space for the RAs and the dimensions manager inhibits productivity for both groups, and modifying the office days in the memory care could promote privacy for both the manager and the RAs. The challenge is related to organizational support, where in the areas of knowledge, sustainability, and waste management. We have said that knowledge related to integrative health is lacking at the organization, but that also accounts for the executive leaders that support the organization, that directly impacts the sustainability of implementation of integrated framework for residence care. We noticed a large amount of food waste and recyclable containers that ended up in the garbage. The organization does recycle, but the recycle bins are located in areas that are not efficient to access for the staff, and specifically in memory care and in breakout rooms. The recommendation for organizational support are few. For the directors of health services to be successful in their implementation of an integrated framework at their site, they require support from the executive leadership. And thus, it will be important for the executive leadership to have an in-depth knowledge about integrated framework in order to provide that support, being that a person the ownership team trains, educates, or hires. A well-run well-being program should have a dedicated leader that is focused solely on the well-being of the employees and the organization. A well-being leader would be responsible for continuing the development of a well-being culture by maintaining accountable leadership and assessing the organizational culture through annual engagement surveys and well-being measures. Regarding the food waste, it is recommended to increase the visibility and access of recycling bins for staff in memory care and in break areas. This concludes our main ideas for recommendations of implementing integrated framework to care at the Pillars Senior Homes.
Thank you, Olof, for detailing the recommendations so nicely. We want to point out that the report also includes recommendations for measurement of these interventions and an overview of local competitors and some financial and regulatory considerations as you pursue more information about integrative care in your organization. In conclusion, the Pillars of Shorewood Landing has an overall positive work environment, which enhances the readiness for the organization to implement system change. Implementing a sustainable integrative approach to care within this organization would build on these positive aspects present in the organization and has the potential to decrease some of the current challenges by providing additional interventions, focusing on prevention and symptom management, and decreasing reliance on pharmaceutical interventions. Ultimately, incorporating an integrative approach to nursing and a culture of well-being will provide benefits to both residents and staff, with the potential to decrease turnover and improve well-being system-wide. A deep thank you to all the staff at the Pillars of Shorewood Landing for welcoming us into your organization with open arms and open minds. We learned so much with you this semester and look forward to seeing what you do with these recommendations going forward. We'd also like to say thank you to Dr. Mary Jo Kreitzer for her continued support and guidance as we explored the possibilities that exist for integrative nursing and promotion of well-being in the senior living community. Thank you again, and we look forward to hearing your questions and comments. And on the next slide, we have listed our email addresses if you'd like to contact us with further questions. Thank you.